Hello, I'm Shireen Hashim, CEO and founder of the award-winning Fashion Community Week established since 2014. We are a business and marketing platform that offers support and opportunities for emerging global fashion designers and brands. Since our existence, we have launched and presented brands from 40 countries covering 6 continents. Through our platform, presenting brands takes part in our exhibition, showroom, shopping event, conference, and of course our famous runway shows, which is held biannually. This season, we're launching an online incubator for emerging fashion designers and brands and offering the following. We offer interview series with industry experts, an e-boutique platform for our fashion designers to sell their collections, one-on-one consulting services and workshops on brand launch and development, and now introducing our first ever virtual fashion week this season. Welcome to the opening day of our new era interactive virtual fashion week powered by Fashion Community Week. Today is our worldwide fashion tech conference taking place in a form of panel discussion with 5 fashion industry founders joining us to share about their innovative fashion tech companies and how they are impacting the future of the fashion industry. Joining us today is Gulnaz Husainova from Easysize, Kostas Kukurovas from Intelistyle, Hasna Kurda from Save Your Wardrobe, Andrei Gulub from Corp, and Whitney Cathcart from 3D Look. Welcome to our conference and thank you for joining us from different parts of the world today. I think we have Florida, Greece, Denmark, London, and Milan, and I'm here in San Francisco. It is such a pleasure having you all on our panel today. Let us start with the introductions. Gulnaz, would you like to go first and share with us about Easysize?
Of course. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here today. It's a pleasure to be at this panel discussion and talk about fashion technology. I started Easysize around 6 years ago, and I started with one goal of solving the sizing and the fitting problem in fashion e-commerce. At Easysize, we use AI and machine learning to address this problem, and we do it in a way that doesn't require any body measurements, size charts, or garment measurements. When it comes to sizing, we try to understand consumers' unique style and fit preferences. And based on that, we designed the user experience to be as smooth, as seamless, and as frictionless as possible. We work with hundreds of different brands around the world, and we help them to integrate our solution and decrease their returns, as well as increase their sales conversion. So yeah, thank you again for having me here today.
Thank you so much for being here. Kostas, do you want to go next and share a bit about Intelistyle with us?
For sure. Thank you for having me here as well. Such an honor, especially for a fashion week that's on the other side of the world. Love it. So at Intelistyle, we personalize the customer experience of fashion retailers by styling their customers with the right clothes and outfits for them. Well, at the same time, we optimize conversion, basket size, and repeat purchase rate. So the core product is the AI that learns by looking at outfits put together by some of the world's most prestigious stylists, and then extracts the essence of style. It uses that knowledge to style customers based on the latest trends, as well as who that customer actually is. So there's a number of use cases that retailers use it for. The most recent one is remote selling to turn their customer service team into expert stylists. As well as personal shopping, styling recommendations on the web, on chatbots, CRM, email, as well as physical smart mirrors that we're integrated in. Really what differentiates us is the fact that because our personalization is so fashion specific, it delivers 130% more revenue than generic recommendation solutions. And the quality of the styling is at such a level that a number of luxury brands trust us, such as Dolce & Gabbana, Max Mara, Tommy Hilfiger, and Lane Crawford, who's one of the biggest luxury retailers in Hong Kong. So yeah, thank you again for inviting us.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Hasna, do you want to share about your company with us, please? Save Your Wardrobe.
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely to be here with everyone. And thank you for inviting me to talk about Save Your Wardrobe. So Save Your Wardrobe is a digital wardrobe management platform. We use artificial intelligence and machine learning to create digital version of people's wardrobe and also to streamline sustainable living. We do that by curating an ecosystem of services such as donation, repairs, cleaning, reselling, and everything related to the wardrobe management is curated in the app. We've started with the project a while ago, but we are live since March 2020, and the whole ethos of Save Your Wardrobe is based on the way I grew up in Tunisia and this, my family's sustainable and circular values. And I'm really excited to be at this panel. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Andre, please share with us about ELS Corp.
Thank you, Shireen. Thank you for having me. I'm very, very proud to be part of this fantastic group of companies and also to welcome the visitors of the event. We are ELS Corp. It is a deep tech company offering B2B, B2B2C solutions to brand, retailers, manufacturers, and somehow to independent designers. We basically elaborated a kind of cloud technology that is able to put together a front end dedicated to product personalization in 3D. So we're quite experts in 3D. We call it, to simplify, 3D cameras, but internally it is all about design automation. Then probably I will give more insights on it. And then it goes to generate made to order orders. So from our side, we are connected to manufacturing processes. We try to be a middleware that intends to help fashion industry becoming more sustainable in a way of approaching in an easier and simple way the on-demand prospect. And also on-demand, made to order, all these complicated points, we work on it and have different experience and success, and then later I will tell now how it works.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Now, last not least, Whitney, please share with us about 3D Look.
Well, thank you for having me. It's great to see you again, and it's great to be with everybody here. I love that, you know, there's so much innovation happening in this sector. 3D Look actually comes at the whole fit and sizing from the first part of the supply chain, which is all about bodies. So essentially what we do is we turn bodies into fit charts, and we're an AI first B2B company. We use a combination of computer vision and deep learning and 3D body matching, and we create a 3D avatar. So it's a lot of statistical modeling, but we're coming at it from the understanding that if you really think about it, fashion makes clothing for bodies, but we don't know what the bodies look like. So our technology actually generates a 3D avatar. And from that, if you think about it, we could hypothetically compute hundreds of different measurements. We compute today about 73 in our API. But what we're really looking to do is personalize the experience, knowing that we're moving towards a world of customization and personalization, not standardization in an industry that has never been standardized. So we're really looking at what is an individual customer's body shape and body measurements, and how does that fit with the current product. Of course, much deeper than that is being able to use this body data to affect the supply chain. So how do we think about design? How do we think about manufacturing? How do we think about inventory and distribution? So that ultimately we're lowering return rates and we're actually making an indentation on the amount of waste that this industry contributes to the world.
Thank you. Thank you for being the contributor of the reverse in our industry. We are the #2 most polluted industry in the world. So it is really nice to see some of you are actually working towards helping towards sustainability. Well, Again, thank you everyone for being here. Let me get started. My first question, let me see, is for Gulnaz. Now, Easysize claims to deliver a personal shopping experience with the world's leading AI-powered size and fit recommendation platform for apparel and footwear. Now, can you go into details about how the Easysize algorithm works and how the data for sizing is aggregated?
Of course. So when we were developing our algorithms, essentially the goal we had for our team, it was how do we replicate the way a real human being makes a decision around sizing and fitting? And when it comes to picking the right size and fit, it's often not that much about how your body looks like, but it's more about what style you want to go for, how you want a certain item to look on you. So that's the reason why at Easysize, we don't really care much about the body measurements, but instead what we try to understand unique style and fit preferences. We look into things like how you're going to wear a certain item. Are there certain triggers like clothing cut or fabric that impacts your decision? We try to see if you like slim fitted shirts in one brand or oversized shirts in another brand. So all of those factors, they go into account and in consideration by our algorithm. So obviously to do that, we need to have a pretty granular, pretty diverse and deep data about consumers. So over the years, we have collected data around 17 million shopping profiles, unique shopping profiles in our database. And that's across 15,000 different brands. So it means that this data comes from a lot of different partners, direct-to-consumer brands, marketplaces, third-party services like payment companies. It allows us to remove or decrease the bias in our algorithm, because obviously when you're buying a pair of Nike shoes on, let's say, Amazon, well, though you cannot buy it there now, but let's say on a marketplace versus when you're buying it directly from Nike, your choice often will be different. So all of those factors we try to impact in our data. We primarily analyze data of orders and returns, which we receive from every partner that we work with. And we also receive direct post-purchase feedback from consumers. So every online shop we work with also uses our additional product called feedback that gathers post-purchase feedback around size and fit. And that really what helps us to not only personalize the recommendation, but also deliver a recommendation on the SKU level.
Wonderful. Wow. It is such a elaborative process. Thank you further to share about Easysize. So now followed by that conversation, obviously my next question is for 3D Look. Now, 3D Look had recently won the LVMH Innovation Award in 2019 for a platform that makes it simple for fashion businesses to know what their actual customers look like, so they can design, produce, and sell better fitting clothing. Now tell us, how do you generate the 3D matching process, and where do you gather the information to build these virtual models on your platform?
Right. So the way it looks from the consumer experience is you land on a product page on a website. I want to buy your beautiful red jacket. And am I a size 2, 4, 6, depending on the brand? What do I feel like today? Which goes back to that kind of preference piece. So from the consumer side, all we need is a front and a side photo. And we have a cross-platform widget. So it's a browser-based experience. There's no downloading of a separate app. I take a front and a side photo. We guide you through that. We have a gyroscope in our technology. We've learned a lot. The company was founded back in 2016. So we've learned a lot about the consumer kind of journey and what works. We know that with the angle of the phone and tight fitted clothes, we get a good, accurate input. We can produce a good, accurate output. And that accurate output is really two ways, right? So in made to measure, in order to cut a garment, you need measurements. And in fit recommendations, it's really around how do you remove some of that complexity around which size do I buy. Part of it for sure around preference, the other part of it around body shape, body size, and brand intent. So the way our algorithms work is we detect key points in body contour. So our computer vision algorithms, for starters, can identify the human body in tight fitted clothes on any background. And that was important for us because we didn't want to have people have to take videos or put things in between their feed or do circles. We wanted a really simple experience. There are two ways to do it. You can have a friend grab their mobile device and take a photo of you. Or we also just released in June hands-free mode, and we'll voice control you through that front and side photo. So we detect key points in body contour, which have been mapped against a large data set of fully annotated photos. And it's a combination of annotated photos, manual measurements that were collected early on, and also scans. I think we're the only company that's actually got a scanning lab in our HQ. So we're actually able to train neural networks on, we're working on some interesting measurements, say for the military, that wouldn't be, apply to fashion. So that enables us to be able to train additional neural nets if need be. But we basically use those annotated photos and we're able to build a statistical 3D model. So it's really important to understand what we're not doing is using like pure CV algorithms and then looking at a database of avatars. Our goal, what we do is we generate a 3D avatar of each person. From that avatar has right now, as I said earlier, about 73 different points of measure on there. And we've got a couple of different solutions that we build on top of that core technology that could be a unique fit solution for size recommendations. We've also, as you can imagine, over COVID with contactless measurements, I mean, we are a contactless measurement solution at our core technology. So we launched a product called Mobile Tailor back in June. And Mobile Tailor was really built thinking about small and medium-sized businesses who came to us and said, we literally cannot operate our business without measurements, and we can't touch customers, and we can't deploy tailors or fit teams to their homes. And by the same measure, the uniform sector also is something that was really impacted by COVID. So this whole idea of fit events and actually being measured for your uniform became, you just couldn't do it. So we've got a solution also for the uniform sector that enables really contactless fit events so that end wearers essentially don't have to try on garments that other people have just tried on as well.
Sure.
But it really starts with that base core technology that I was just speaking about.
Yes, and all the places, boutiques and stores are actually getting rid of fitting areas. So that's where you definitely are ahead of time, even with the COVID situation. So yes, great for providing a ahead of the game service for everyone.
Well,
so
I will say one of our biggest customers saw the writing on the wall in March and came to us, and we actually took our core technology. They use iPads in their stores and they've got different apps on them. And we actually put an app on our iPad so their store associates, as customers come in, they had two problems. Number one, store associates didn't want to talk to the customers and vice versa. So store associate now takes a front and a side photo. They now have those measurements in under 30 seconds and they're able to go to the rack and pull the right size garment for the end consumer off the rack. And all that whole process is under a minute.
Amazing, amazing. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right, so let me see. Since we are in the conversation of AI, I think my next question is for Kostas. Now, unlike other online styling services that claim to do machine learning, but what they really do is package up a couple of Amazon, Google, or Microsoft Cloud ML APIs, combine them with a freely available data set, and voila, here is a service that they can sell to customers as AI styling, quoted right from your website. Now, claiming that your approach is different, tell us what led you to decide that a bounding box model was the best option for accumulating fashion data, Kostas?
Right, so I think you've got to start from the data set availability out there. As you said, there's a number of free data sets out there. And if you look at how these data sets are collected, they're probably been put together by a merchandiser. They might be collected from a number of different retailers that have merchandisers in their team, but still that really limits the amount of data that you have because there's just not that much out there. Now, the majority of fashion photography that you see is actually, on social media networks, on videos, is catwalk photography. And really, if you want to start following the latest trends and understand what's happening there, you need to be able to detect where the clothing is in the photography. Now, that's only one of the models that we use. So initially, we understand where the different pieces of clothing are in the photography, and then we understand what the characteristics of these items are. So, do they have, what kind of cut do they have? We look at about 400 different attributes, categories, and subcategories. And then the other thing that we do is create this signature, this visual signature of that piece of clothing. It's very similar to what Shazam does, for example. They identify a piece of music. So we do that for clothing. And then we put all that into a third model that understands the unique combinations of all of that. And that sort of creates or understands the essence of style. Now, if you look at different regions, they will all have very different styling requirements. So we did some work for a big retailer in Europe, and they sell all across Europe. They wanted to target segments in Northern Europe, Central Europe, and Southern Europe with completely different styling recommendations. So unless you can go in and understand, the details of the styling and what people prefer in each of these segments, you can't really do that effectively. And the best way to do that is by looking at data such as those that are available online in different social networks and extracting what the trends are. Also, you want to make sure that that's current, right? So the way people got styled a year ago or 2 years ago might change to what the preferences are now. So that initially led us to this. Eventually, we went to the other side of the world. We went to China and Japan, and we said, hey guys, we've got this great model, really do styling. And they said, look, but this is Japan here. And styling, or our perception of styling, is very, very, very different to what you have in Europe. And we said, don't worry, we're sure we can do it with the data that we have already. And they were actually right. We couldn't do it. The model didn't produce quality enough results for that side of the world. So we went and crawled Japanese social media, effectively understood a little bit more about the styling there, retrained the model, and that allowed us to create at scale recommendations that work anywhere in the world. And that's the key reason that we follow this approach.
Wow, that is a versatile, not only approach, but an entire production of going in different market to find out what fits best for the consumer they are. So, well, thank you. Now, I want to direct my directions towards, as we're talking about AI, but into sustainability. Now, a digital wardrobe for Save Your Wardrobe is a digital wardrobe for your sustainable fashion future. Your platform is making fashion more sustainable through tech and AI, quoted through Forbes, Harper's Bazaar, and Euronews. Now, tell us, how do you use your technology to create a personal and unique experience for each customers? And how do you make them reconnect with their wardrobe? And also, please touch upon the sustainability aspect to it as well, Hasna.
Sure, yeah. So the way it works is super easy. So we made it extremely simple so that people embrace sustainability, even if it doesn't fit into their lifestyle. So in order to build the digital wardrobe, we have two ways. The first one is using image recognition. So whenever you take a picture of, let's say, your red jacket, it will recognize the category, the color, subcategory as well, the brand. And the other way is through email parsing. We've built an email parsing that looks into online receipts. So whenever you buy something online or in store and you receive online confirmation, our technology is able to capture that information and create a first version of your wardrobe instantly based on those email receipts. And then for where we connect people to the content of their wardrobe and how to streamline sustainability through technology. So what we do is, once you have your catalog of past purchases, we help you understand through data. So it's data that you generate for your own usage. So it's not something that we sell or we share with third party. It's really for the user to understand how they've been consuming fashion in the past, and we also send them suggestions and recommendations based on that to in order to adopt a more mindful consumption. And that's where the ecosystem of services that we are creating and curating in the app enters. So basically, we connect people with their past purchases, things that they may have forgotten to wear or put in the back of their wardrobe, and also with a set of services such as repairs, alterations, things that will extend the life of garment. And we do that by learning the way you interact post-purchase. So we extend the narrative, basically, of the purchase to beyond that sales transaction. And we are able to gather information about you and help you as a user and as a consumer to adopt more mindful and more sustainable initiatives. And it can be through repairing a moth hole that you have in an old jumper, or downsizing something that you bought on secondhand. And the idea is to really guide you towards sustainability. Touching on sustainability, the motives and the backstory of it is the way I grew up was really close to sustainable values and circularity. And once I arrived in Europe, I've seen that people were really disconnected from what they need and what they purchase, and they were buying not based on something that they were looking for, but more something that they like or so on social media. And it was really clashing with the way with the values that I had, and I saw an opportunity of people to direct them towards more awareness around the waste that they are creating through this platform. And technology for us is simply an enabler and a way to really streamline this process and make it easier for everyone to be more sustainable in their everyday life.
That's great. Well, thank you. I think it's a great value, and we all have pieces in our wardrobe that exist and that has barely been used or never been used. So thank you for recreating something that allows us to fall in love with our wardrobe again. All right. Well, now my next question is for Andre. Now, Else Corp is designing the future of retail, you claim, and to make it easier for fashion companies to engage with their customers in an interactive, omni-channel, new virtual way. Now, I know that one of the areas you focus on is virtual reality. Now, please tell us, Andre, how can VR be used to enhance the customer experience on a retailer's website?
Okay, that's a complicated question because I would answer it maybe in 1 hour, no, explaining everything. No, seriously. No, first of all, I really need to make it more clear that for us, for our company, VR, as we intended, is virtual retail. It's not just virtual reality, which is a technology, specific technology. No, we have VR, we have AR, we have just screens and synchronized screens and so on. But the main logic behind what we do is the value chain virtualized. So the companies can start selling products yet before they produce them.
Got it.
So one thing, or website or in-store mixed experience consumer application is only channel. The sense is that yeah, we create it and we fight now for that model where brands can bring their products to through retailers towards consumers, still on the face of just design it. Now you make a few prototypes, you can start production, but already you can start selling it. Now thinking of website, what it comes to my mind is better is to comment the AR use of it. No, because thinking of anything that is related to product personalization to reach an interactive customer experience, so-called 3D configurators, product configurators. Now you can easily get via a QR code or simply or now even recognizing the product from the website of the brand and bring it to an application. And inside application you can continue, you can play with it, personalized, and you can load any other additional options which could be needed, like for virtual try-on and so on and so on. So you don't need to integrate everything on the website. So this is how, from our point of view, it can be balanced at the website and the use of smartphone, for example. Now, the same thing could work into an interesting way also for physical retail, especially now after the virus. People are, let's say, afraid even to talk products. But still, if you come to a store, you need an inspiration of a real product. You want to see it, you want to look at it, and then after you want to understand what else is available. So again, you just picture it. Or, well, there could be QR code that makes things easier, especially to understand for the explanation. But for us, it doesn't matter. We can recognize a product just from a photo. So you picture the product in store, in shelf, and then you will get on your smartphone a rich application which allows you to then play with it. So colors, materials, all other options. Load your avatar. In our case, we work with shoes mostly, so it's about fitting and so on and so on. So this is one thing. This is about customer experience. Right. But also I would like to mention, since everybody were talking about AI, we also work. In our case, I think even for myself as a founder, it's very interesting the evolution of our company. We started as design automation, so 3D, creating, helping designers shorter go-to-market with the new products and so on from design point of view. Retail, so making it interactive and closer to the design phase. But after a few years of working with the market, we understood that AI could be the perfect glue for all this. So today, we as a company, and what I heard from the colleagues, from other, and especially your provocative questions about data set, it's the same things that everybody have, and so on and so on. In our case, our AI is very specific. We build neural networks, and we even have them generative, that know the products, not from retail point of view, but from design point of view. So we digitalize, starting from design, we know the curves. We know what every color combination, for different components means. So our networks can able really to generate new models. But this is not for retail. This is for designer use. Now we work on design automation and towards brands. But in the case of consumer, this kind of AI is really able to interpret each consumer way of thinking. So we call this service my style. So my best scenario is that, coming back to the website, or a mixed experience between an application or a store or a website. Also for myself as a consumer, and now I'm the founder of the company, and very proud to see that this is possible. Now it can work for me. The best idea is to make a picture of some product that I like and say, please find me something similar but in my own style, or that corresponds to me, and all the rest is done. So this kind of AI which can follow the user, and not only by comparing, knowing your purchase history or trivial things like that, but really on a deep level. Like in our case, we know the products from the structured point of view, from design point of view. It's about components, it's about even the size, it's about visual impact, about many things that the other companies never take into account. And so I would say please find me a similar product like that, but in my style, or maybe in a different color. So I can combine all together things. Now, visual search, I make a photo, or I take a photo from the website. Then my style, which is an AI service which knows me well, no, and can then filter other products, and some specific meta information like price range or whatever else. Also, this is how do I see it applied for the future.
Great, great. You know, Andre, your company is offering versatile of services, and there was one area, actually I have a follow-up question for you, that I noticed that you are offering made-to-order services, which is typically associated with, obviously, slow fashion. Now, is it really possible to offer made-to-order products on demand?
Sure, no, sure, it's possible. This is also very interesting. It's also our history, no? So we started exactly to help companies adapting or well, somehow incorporating the model of make to order and product personalization, not yet before any AI. Now the idea was to develop this technology and speak with the companies, to brands, to understand, you know, what are the specific situations when made to order makes sense, and so on and so on. And so, but we started more than 3 years ago. Now we were already on the market. It was honestly too early. Now only few companies. We are totally, it's totally correct. Now supposing that it is slow fashion, it works better for luxury services, not for some kind of premium. Or some companies which make specific collections which they make only on demand. Then, because the issue is, you know, from the cultural point of view, that's true that consumers are used to have things quickly. No, if I buy something, I want it tomorrow. We've seen that it's not because people really want things tomorrow morning, but it's because the brainwashing, everybody is listening now all the time everywhere, that things are very quick. So Amazon is pushing tomorrow morning in 1 minute, but in slow fashion, it's not true at all. Most of people say, no, we don't care. If I want to order a product which makes sense, which is made for me, of the best, especially of the best quality, I'm ready to wait. No, so producing make things on demand takes time. No, we are not yet in that future which we envision in a couple of years and few years, where it will be possible to make any product on made to order overnight. Now, we are already closing in our sector with footwear. So we work with some companies which integrate full digital transformation chain, now from the design to retail and to manufacturing, with robotics, with AI, digital twins, and so on. In this case, it's possible to order. So even not think if the product is available or not. You just order it, and if a brand wants to offer it, no, it will be made overnight, and tomorrow morning you have it, like if it was available in stock. But today we're not yet there. No, so I can tell you our walk around, what we discovered and where we found again ourselves to be strong, and again the AI is very useful, is that from the customer experience point of view, product configurator or make to order, not making your own ideal product, is a good idea for the consumer. But after, companies can offer two choices. One is really to produce it, made it to order, so you wait. All the time is needed. Some companies do it in 3 days. Some companies can do it in 3 weeks. You know, for us, it doesn't matter. No, we just supply the technology and help and the know-how. But what we made possible is that consumer can personalize and create their ideal product, and then AI will find very similar product from stock, available from stock. So you want it, this is how you want it, and these are few options that are available. No, at the end, we save the customer experience, because that it is totally true now that people are very boring to scroll the e-commerce web pages. Instead, anything that is interactive, especially about 3D, you know, where consumer can feel a co-designer, you know, play things like that, is great. But then after, if the option of make to order is not preferred, not available, we can find you very similar product. Here there is a job for AI.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Andre, for giving us a whole walkthrough step by step on the process. Now, I've got a few questions that I would like to jump on and ask a few of you. Now, you know, let me go back to Easysize. Now, Tell me, Gulnaz, what are your future projections of how Easysize can advance with high technology is, with all the high technology that is progressing? Have you ever thought about expanding to 3D software, perhaps?
That's an excellent question. And I think we talked a lot today about AI and machine learning and all the advanced technologies. I think from our side, the way we look at it as a team is it's not just only about the technology and that being very accurate. It's also about making that technology accessible.
Right.
In our case, we work with a lot of small, medium-sized businesses. And if you're a direct-to-consumer brand and you have a team of 5 to maybe 10 people, you don't have time, a lot of time on your hands to get acquainted with a lot of different technologies and make sure that everything is working on the website.
Absolutely.
For us as a B2B company, number one goal is to make it as simple as possible. Yes, we do have very sophisticated algorithms and millions of data points in the background, but we want to make sure that you as a business owner, you can get it integrated in 30 minutes. You don't need to provide any size charts or garment measurements or spend a single minute of your time on maintaining that. And it just runs by itself. It just delivers the value. It delivers more sales and so on. And that's kind of how we look at it, because technology at the end of the day, the main goal of the technology is to enable a more seamless and more simple experience. We looked at it from the perspective for merchants, making it very easy to integrate and maintain without using any size charts or garment measurements. And we also look at that from the same perspective when we work with online shoppers, because we know that when shoppers come to a website and want to use our solution, it takes them 10 to 20 seconds and they get the right size. And that is something that I use when I shop as well. If I find a dress that I love, I just want to get it. I don't want to be bothered. And that's exactly what we want to do with Easysize. Make it as simple, as least invasive as possible. And that's, I think, for us, the way we look at the technology and innovation when it comes to that.
Well, thank you. We are living in the world of instant gratification. Gotta have it now.
Absolutely.
So everything must be accessible. We're quite spoiled that way. So thank you for making us more spoiled with all of these services. So let me see. Now, Kostas, you know, earlier you were sharing something quite interesting, and I wanted to ask you a very abrupt, direct question. Do you think that AI styling outperforms actual human styling?
That's a big question. That is a big question.
Because you said your measurements were completely on the dot, so I wanted to ask you this.
I know, that's right. So I think it was a couple of years ago when we took our AI to London Fashion Week, and we did some blind tests between outfits that were generated by AI and outfits that were generated by humans, and we asked participants to select which one they prefer. So we had 70% of people preferring the AI generated outfits, which, to be honest with you, surprised me as well. I was like, really? Okay, that's interesting. And yeah, you had to see the faces on some of the people that were like, oh, wow, really? Did that just happen? So that's one side of it, right? The reality is more complicated, because what happens is that the AI actually learns from humans, right? It's a little bit like a child. So depending on the examples that you show it, it will develop a different personality, right? Like we were talking about before with the different regions. So what effectively we do with AI is that we're using examples from top stylists and top designers to teach it what good looks like. Because at the end of the day, humans will always lead the charge in terms of creativity. I mean, we see a number of new models that, you know, can imitate a painter's painting style, right? And I think all of that shows how powerful it is. But at the end of the day, it is imitation. And, you know, now we're starting to see examples where, hey, it makes something new, but it's all based on learning from someone. And I think that the real creativity lies with humans. Now, the other side of this is that, hey, it can probably outperform an average stylist, but that's not the way to look at it. I don't think you want to look at it from a competitive point of view. Because the way we use it is to actually empower retailers, sales agents, you know, even styling teams. You know, so say you have a sales agent that, you know, styling is not their strongest point, right? So our new product, it does remote styling effectively. So it will help you connect to a customer via chat, and it will help you understand what clothes look best on that customer. We were talking to a big fast fashion retailer actually just before the start of the pandemic, and they introduced a styling team in the shop, and they found that customers that engaged with a stylist had 5 times higher basket size. So they wanted to actually extend that to more of the sales team, because it could only have a small styling team, obviously because of the cost of the team and fast fashion. So that allowed us to help other sales agents be at the same level or a very similar level like the top performers. So I think the way to look at this is as a tool to enable us to do our job faster. We work with a styling team in Dubai actually, and the entire team is stylists. But what this enables them to do is generate a lot more personalized options for their customers compared to if they were doing that manually. So now suddenly, as opposed to having to put one outfit together and pull one piece of clothing and another piece of clothing, now they can have 1,000 outfits in a matter of minutes and go through them and say, yep, that works, that doesn't, that works, that doesn't. Oh, I'll do a small change here and that is perfect, right? So it makes people a lot more effective. And I think that's what this is about, really, just enhancing our capabilities with AI.
Wow, that is quite a process, but a fast way to get to what people are looking for. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now, let me see. I think I have a question for Whitney. Now, share a little bit about how has your mobile tailor software affected companies that you partner with? Do these companies adjust the sizing of their products based on your data? If so, have they received more customer satisfaction as a result?
Yeah, so I'm going to step back for a minute because there's 3 kind of things that are weaving through this conversation. One is around fit, one is around sustainability, and one is really around customer experience, right? So if you think about kind of what's happening in on-demand, and I think Andre's right there, it's still in its infancy. But if we look even pre-COVID at kind of the number of companies that we had begun to work with and have been in our inbound pipeline over the last few years that are really about how do we think about making less of better, right? So we're in it. So we have a couple macro factors that are hitting this whole idea, right? One is, and one very important thing is to think about, you have a generation that's coming up that is different than every generation, certainly in the 30 years that I've been in the apparel industry. And even before that, you have a generation that cares more about what they put on their body, what they put inside their body. And they care a lot about sustainability, a lot more than even younger millennials. So you've got that coming in. And then you've got, even in the mass and the enterprise space, this whole understanding of we literally cannot continue on a e-commerce business model that produces return rates 30, 40, 50, 60+%. It just doesn't work in the way that we have, costed garments over the last many, many decades. So if you think about Mobile Tailor was really a response to COVID for us, because it was small and medium-sized businesses who, as I said earlier, could literally not operate their business without a digital tool, because you cannot make a pattern without measurements. And so we enable that. What I think is really a lot as interesting, not more interesting, but as interesting, is if you look at some of the partnerships, and this goes back to the conversation you were having with Andre around on-demand. If you look at some of the partnerships that 3D Look has announced over the last several months, particularly with like Gerber, CGS last week, but this is, how do you pipe together this entire on-demand supply chain? Because again, you have to understand what we look like in order to make clothing for us, right? Because if you go to anybody's brand and you try and put me in the peg of that brand, it's about 10% that's going to fit in that. Most of us fit in different sizes, and most of us, it's really based around body shape. So it's not just our pure measurements, it's all around body shapes. And that's a lot of the work 3D Look does. But if you think about on demand, that first piece of it, which is around bodies, funnels into that entire supply chain. Some of the stuff that Andre's doing, 3D design, what is going on in automation in terms of manufacturing itself. How do you begin to automate the last mile delivery? Some of these pieces are further along than others, right? But it's really about collaboration in all of these companies to enable a more efficient supply chain over the next 10 years. Because let's face it, this whole idea of I'm going to go to an e-commerce site and I'm going to have to search product because there's so much product out there and I have no idea what size I am is like ludicrous today. More or less, it looks like it did 10, 20 years ago. It hasn't innovated as fast as, frankly, any of our technologies have innovated and disrupted. And if you think about this whole idea of, how do you take that experience of, I used to go into the store and I would pull 3 sizes off the rack and go into the fitting room, because it's not only just about what fits me, because you might think this, I'm wearing black sweatshirt today, but you might think this fits me great. And I may have an idea in my mind that today, no, I wanted it to feel tight. So you have that preference piece in it. So all of these things we're going to see shift, and they already are shifting, and they were shifting even pre-COVID. They're just beginning to happen faster now. So my point is that this whole idea of how do we get to a more customized supply chain? How do we get to a industry where we are more impactful? We're making, again, less of better things. And frankly, customers are waiting, and they are waiting. Customers will wait for something if they know it is made for them. And we have proof in the pudding because we have on-demand customers that use our body scanning technology on the front end. So I think it's really interesting to see what all of us are doing here and how it all comes together over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years, because the way we shop in 10 years is going to look absolutely nothing like the way we shop today. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about, these next 10 years that we are, charging steadfast very, very quickly into right now. And 3D and what happens with 3D as we move into a world that is more immersive, where you have consumers that, when you're wearing Google Glass today, you look weird. It's not going to look like that in 5 to 10 years. It's going to be a much more immersive world. And what do those experiences mean? I mean, immersive technology is made for customer experience. So all of these customer experiences that start with what we look like and end up in the product are going to be just absolutely amazing over the next several years. And we're just, we're only in the infancy stages of that still.
Well, thank you, Whitney, for sharing about the elaboracy of the whole process. And I totally agree. How we're living now, it's definitely going to change, and we're already seeing changes specifically due to the pandemic. And I totally agree with you. Well, I think we had this was it. This was all the time we had for our conversation with all of you today. Now, thank you so much for being with us today. And I'm so happy to know that we are concluding our conference with 5 brilliant founders. And thank you for joining us and sharing your expertise and about your companies with us. Now, I'd like to thank our attendees for joining in for the opening day of our New Era Virtual Fashion Week. Join us September 25th to view our California Dreaming runway show presenting contemporary wear by local designers, and on September 26th to view our international and couture collections presented by creators, by couturiers, international couturiers, followed by our interactive shopping event on September 27th to shop hot off the runway collection from our runway shows. And for more details and schedules, visit our website at fashioncommunityweek.com, and we look forward to seeing you there virtually. And thank you again for being with us here today. It was such a pleasure having you all with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Bye.